just come back from a client with a big project that I hadn't expected, but there were all sorts of possible problems. It was kind of a crazy client. The schedule was nuts. We maybe didn't have enough people. And I was just sitting in my office trying to figure out whether or not we should actually take the job or not, even quote the job. So you ever have anything like that? Maybe you're looking for a new job or something, and it pays a ton, but the hours might be crazy, or you don't know where to go, moving to a new place. Anyone ever have something? I walked into my boss Paul's office to try to get some advice. And Paul's the kind of guy that is calm in all situations. He's a big burly guy, he's got a Native American background. Little story about Paul. One time he told me he got robbed at gunpoint. Standing there waiting for the bus. Someone grabbed his earring. He just quickly grabbed his hand. The guy was trying to rip his earring out of his ear. Grabbed his hand. Come on, man. There you go. Handed the guy his earring. He said, you need anything else? This is the kind of guy Paul is, calm always. So I went up to Paul. I said, Paul, we got this situation. I got this great big project, but it's pretty scary. I don't know what to do with it. He said, Brian, well, what's your suggestion? What would you do with this? I said, I don't know, Paul. That's why I kind of came to you to get some advice. I'm hoping for some ideas. He said, Brian, what kind of process do you normally use for these kind of situations? How do you think through these things? I don't know, Paul. I guess I don't have really a process. I just kind of go with what I got. At this point, I was feeling kind of dumb. I wasn't sure exactly where to go with this. And you know that uncomfortable feeling when you're in the boss's office and you want to sound like you're doing it right, but you're also kind of looking for the advice. So he said, Brian, here, why don't you come and have a seat? And at this point, you know it's going to be a little longer situation. He said, Brian, you need a process to go through these and find your best opportunities. Do you know that Ted Williams, you know Ted Williams, one of the greatest hitters in baseball, he actually divided his strike zone up into 72 different cells. And he only swung at those 4 or 5 cells that he knew he could hit. Of course, he never told anyone that until after he was done. But it's amazing, Ted Williams would actually let strikes go through unless they were in his 4 or 5 cells he could hit. I saw an interesting question they asked Warren Buffett. They said, what is the key to success? The second richest guy in the world right now, or in the US. He said the key to success is focus. You need to focus. If you took away his top 10 or 15 decisions he made, he would be an average investor. It's pretty amazing to think about. So I'm going to talk about a process today where you can focus in and find your best opportunities and nail down deep on those opportunities. Last time we talked about the first step of the process, which is to analyze. And a quick refresher, to analyze, you want to think about your best case and your worst case possibilities for that opportunity. And you want to relate that to actual things. So actually think about real prospects, not like, if I take this job, I could get hit by a bus tomorrow and die. That's obviously a worst case, but go through actual scenarios, and I'll get back to that in a minute. Your second step is to profile the opportunity. And profiling is a way to do what Ted Williams did, which is to understand where his best opportunities were, what he could hit the best. And when you understand what you can do the best and you look at your profile, then you can start diving deep on those select few opportunities. So the way I profile, I like to visualize things. You have your opportunity, you have your best case, and your worst case. This might be like gambling, which if you go to a casino, they know your worst case is just a tiny bit lower than your best case, so they make money off of you just 2% of the time. If you can flip that around, it's a pretty good thing for you. You can have this kind of situation. This is like drinking all night or smoking. I don't recommend this situation for you. You can have this situation a little bit of downside risk and lots of upside risk, and I'll get back to this one in a minute. You can have this one a little bit of upside risk and some downside risk, pretty even though. So let's take a scenario. Let's say that you live in Bloomington, Illinois, and you have an opportunity over the weekend to move up to Chicago and take a new job. Kind of scary, right? Are you scared? Right, there's a lot to think through. So you can go through the best case and worst case. The first step, look at average salaries in Chicago compared to Bloomington. You can look at job prospects, unemployment rate, and you probably get a good best case. It's going to be better than Bloomington. Then you can look at the downside. So average rent of Chicago versus Bloomington. How long are you going to have to sign a lease for? What is your worst case scenario? Is it 3 months at $1,500 a month? And so your worst case is $4,500, and then you have to scrape together some money to grab a bus to go back to Bloomington. Are you going to have a juke job if you go back? What are the possibilities? So you can get an actual visual range. Now, there are a lot of situations like this that I think are huge opportunities for us. And what they start out looking like is a really bad worst case. And most people don't prepare for things too far in advance. They only have the next month or so covered for anything. But if you can figure out a way to minimize that downside risk for the short term, for instance, you could sleep on someone's couch for 3 months and see how that works, minimize that downside risk. Then if you swing at 4 or 5 of these, you're going to hit something out of the park. Another example like this, I would say, is Toastmasters. Sure, you could be embarrassed. You could stumble up here for a little bit, but over the long term, it's going to yield big results. So the next time I talk, you will learn how to act on these situations, and you'll begin to hit some balls out of the park.